guys, like to welcome you guys all back to my channel, and today I am here to talk about my fun moving, buying a house experience. So these are some tips that I can give you about the process. Pull up a chair. This might be a little bit of a chatty video, and I mean, what else do you have to do, right? So for those who don't know, I recently purchased a home. This process started actually back in August and took about 6 months for the house to be built and for me to move in. And there's like a lot of things that I learned along the way that it's like without a real estate agent, you just don't know. And this is me buying a brand new home, like picking a plot of land and getting a house built. Not a reseller or anything like that. So I do need to make that distinction because there are different things that happen. Also, I did this without a realtor and I did it all myself, which I don't know if I necessarily recommend that. Like, if you find a good realtor, use them because the one that I found, I got discouraged. She kept picking places that were above my budget, but I could make it work. And that was really aggravating me. And then I clearly watched too much HGTV because in my head, it was just like, so should I be walking around like, you know, like I'm an egg farmer, but you know, my budget is $12 million, you know, that kind of thing. So, I guess my first tip is decide on your budget. And it's not like decide on your budget to the exact number because that's just not really realistic. It's kind of pick a ballpark of where you want to go. So what I did was, originally I started looking for houses that were already built and just on sale. And I noticed the range that they were in. And I was like, my mom just happened to ask me, like, are you looking at new constructions as well? Because, you know, there are a lot of new constructions. And I started noticing that the new constructions were the same prices as some of the houses that I was looking at. So that kind of prompted me to switch my whole mindset and go looking at new constructions, which is great. But here's the thing about new construction. So you will look at a model home and kind of decide like what you're going to do from there. So a model home shows you like extra things, not extra things and stuff like that. So I guess my next tip is to decide what you want in your house. So my house currently is a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2-story home. Originally, I did not want a 2-story. I wanted more of a ranch style house, but in the area that I wanted to live in, a lot of the 1-story houses were offering more rooms, but they were much, much smaller rooms. And because I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment for so long, I just wanted bigger rooms. I wanted more space. I wanted to be able to like have space to do multiple things and not have to worry about it. So when I did pick this home, that process starts, it's very nerve-wracking. So you sign a contract that basically says that you are interested in buying this home and you have to put down a deposit, earnest money basically. And you have to put down, I don't know if this is everywhere, but here you have to put down a certain percentage of the upgrades. So your house comes with standard things, but you can actually go in and like put in different upgrades and things. Like I put an extra light in the guest bathroom because the wall from the bathtub, like there's like a wall. And so it had just been a dark hole where the toilet was. And since I had that situation in my apartment, I was like, we don't want the darkness. So, like floors, I got floors put in and the entire first floor is wood tiling, which is not what it comes with. So again, when you have this budget, keep in mind that your budget also includes upgrades. I still stayed under my budget by a couple $100,000. Like, no. I stayed under my budget like by $8,000. I was $8,000 under my budget after the upgrades. Like once I reached a certain amount of money, I was like, okay, I can't get any more upgrades because these were the things that like I really wanted. Like I upgraded the flooring downstairs, the staircase, the extra light, and the covered patio. And that put me on my budget. So the next thing that you should keep in mind is that the different expenses that they don't really talk about. earnest money, the percentage of the deposit, the percentage of the upgrade as a deposit, appraiser, because even with a brand new home, you have to get an appraiser. If you're choosing a mortgage, you have to look at all of that. You know, we could literally have a whole video on things I learned when I got a mortgage, which I think we might do. But my next tip is to be very vocal with your housing people. So my house representative was from the company that was building the home, and I had his direct information, and I requested that on Fridays I get an email updating me on the status of the house, because the actual closing date of the house is a variable. It's pretty much a variable until 2 months. 2 months out is when everything starts to become more of a harder date, but everything before that is a variable, because you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to postpone it. They might be ahead of schedule. It was a couple of times that we were actually ahead of schedule, but some stuff happened that pushed us back. So yeah, my house was actually supposed to be ready in April. So my next tip is, if you live in an apartment, try to plan it out to where your lease will be up around the time that it's predicted for you to move, as close as you can get it, because otherwise you'll pay, rent for a time that you're not in the house or in the apartment. So that's my next one. Just try to plan it out the best you can. It's takes some planning, but it can be done. Let me see. Another tip. This one's important. So the first couple months of the building process is very quiet. They have to get permits. They have to get approvals from the county and all that stuff. So you don't really hear anything for the first couple months. I didn't really hear much until November. November was when I met with the foreman, and we actually went through and talked about the upgrades that I added to the house, the different things that I had in the house, and basically before they broke ground. By December, they were moving. So December, January, February, and March, they were moving. So another thing that I should say is try to just be vocal. I kept in a lot of contact with my house rep. I let him know, I'm out of town for this. I'm traveling. I'm leaving the country. So can you plan it this time? Try to keep an open schedule so you can go faster. But also visit your house frequently. So after you do that initial foreman walkthrough, they actually start building the house. The walls went up on my house pretty quickly. I'll try to see if I have any pictures of the process, because I did come check a lot, but a lot of times I was so overwhelmed I forgot to take pictures. That's another thing. Take pictures of the process of your house. It's insane to me that I remember when they laid the slab down and I drove by and just saw the slab. And then the next time I drove by and they had the wood frames. The next time I drove by, it had walls and then insulation, and enjoy the process, but walk your house. So before they put the insulation in and seal the walls, basically, you have to do another appointment where you walk through and you identify where you want your outlets. Me personally, this was a great thing for me, because I specifically requested, especially in the office, that I have an outlet. I have 2 outlets on these 2 walls, and then at least 1 outlet on these 2 walls. And that's just because functionality wise, my game room, I made sure that there were at least 4 outlets on the wall where I know my TV is going to be. And then there's 2 outlets on this side. That kind of stuff you don't think about. Very important. Oh, snap. We got to go back. Another tip. Showroom. So ask what the upgrade identifiers are. So after you sign the contract, do your earnest money, all that stuff, you're taken into what's called the showroom. And this is where you have to pick out everything for your house. It is as nerve-wracking as it sounds, because they're just little samplers. I'll include a picture of what my sampler looked like when I finally finished putting everything together. So you have to pick out your cabinets, your carpet, your backsplash, your flooring, your tile. What else do we pick out? Oh, the brick on the outside of your house, the type of door you want. All of these things come in varying degrees. So I got base for something. So it was like, okay, for this particular one, it was like, okay, red is standard. Red is what comes with your house. And then it goes orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Purple being the most expensive upgrade you can get. Listen, do not do like I did. I walked in and just saw stuff I thought was cute, put it together, and then he was like, oh, you have very good expensive taste. And I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, I had picked all greens and purples. So I put all that back and started over, because certain, like, I'm not saying that you have to be expensive. Like, there was a lot in the reds that I worked with in this house, and I'm happy with how they came out. The only thing I will say is my backsplash was originally not an upgrade, but down the line, when it finally came down for them to order the backsplash, the manufacturer had stopped actually making that particular backsplash. So I had to come back in and pick one, but none of them matched my countertops that I picked. So they let me go up and upgrade without charging me. That does not happen all the time, but that was just because that was an error on their end. So we had to find something that matched in my kitchen. One thing I will say is it's good to have somebody with you that has good taste. I had my mother, she wasn't here with me, but I FaceTimed her and I pulled out slabs, put stuff together. That was like a 3.5 hour day of me just holding up. Oh, this is going to be, like, I knew this was going to be my cabinet door. So let's take this cabinet. This is going to be in the bathroom and the kitchen. Okay. So in the bathroom, I want the counter tile to be this. The flooring will be this, same as, or the flooring tile will be the same as the downstairs tile, but this is the top tile. And I need this to match with the bathtub. It was so much. So take your time, have somebody there with you, know your upgrade levels. It's important. So another thing that I recommend is start doing research on the things that you want for the house for move-in time. So, like, do you want movers? You need house insurance. And you need house insurance. You decide if you want movers. You need your electricity and stuff. They actually provide you a list of the utilities that they use, and you have to switch them over. But some of them will require deposits and stuff like that. So if I were you, I would have a list ready. So when you finally get your actual closing date, you can go ahead and have all of that scheduled. They give you a couple of days, like three business days, to change all the utilities over in your name. But it's good to plan. Also, with moving companies, it's good to plan that out too, so you can compare prices and things like that. And then with home insurance, I just recommend doing it early, because you need to have home insurance in order for your mortgage paperwork to go all the way through for closing. And if you're like me, the one that I picked was Geico, and they literally gave us the runaround for my life, to the point where it was 24 hours before I was closing that they finally got the right paperwork to my mortgage people. And it was a frustrating time. So I recommend doing that early as possible. If you decide to get a third-party inspector, you have to do that at least 3 weeks before the house closing, because they need time to do the report. Same thing with the appraiser. So just keep on track of deadlines. That's one of the main reasons I use my planner for. It was just like reminders to do stuff. They do a lot of documents via DocuSign now, and for me, that wasn't good. So I printed them out and I read everything. Do not sign anything. That is my another tip. Don't just sign it because they say they're in a rush. They're always in a rush when they need you to sign things. Read everything. So luckily for me, I had read most of the documentation that was sent for closing. Oh my gosh. And that's another thing. So closing, another tip I have is to make sure you'll have your walkthrough inspection. I highly recommend you bring a friend for this. So basically, when the house is completely done, you walk the house. I highly recommend you bring somebody with you, because you need, just to give you extra eyes. Check like the window seal. Is it sealed appropriately? Is the door handle like where it's supposed to be? Is there a crack in the door? Does the toilet flush appropriately? How do your cabinets sound? Does one sound hollow, one sound thick? Are they the same color? You have to literally go through the house and pick it with a fine tooth comb, and they write you like this list of everything they have to get together. So for example, my first walkthrough was on Monday. My closing was on Friday. So the original plan was he said he was going to have everything fixed by Thursday. So we get here on Thursday with my parents, and he did not even finish the list that he was supposed to finish for Thursday. So it's like, it's one thing because after you do the second walkthrough, they give you this paper that they want you to sign. You got to hurry up and sign it. But on the paper, it literally says, by signing this paper, you say that there are no more problems with your house. And it's like, you didn't even fix the problems that were on the list to do. Like, it was on the list from Monday. Today's Thursday. You said you did everything, but you didn't. So that pushed my closing time back from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Because they had to wait for the plumber to come fix one of the toilets that was not flushing appropriately. I mean, that mug did not flush at all. So another thing I recommend is try to get them to schedule the first walkthrough like a week before your closing. They messed up their scheduling with mine, so it only ended up being a couple of days. And then before your closing, walk the house again. You never know what could have happened between your last walkthrough and the closing. If they're not doing the closing near your house, go walk your house. You never know. Like, it could be craziness going on there. Something could have blown up. You never know. So we went back to check it on Friday. And the closing process is insane. Like, well, especially during COVID. So you go into this room and like, it's like a packet that's like this thick. I've never signed so many documents before in one sitting. You sign so much stuff. And for this particular one, also, I'm sorry if you can hear the music. They are jamming today out there. But this one, you don't actually get the keys when you sign. Like, you give them the check, you give them everything, and they don't actually give you the keys until it's what they call funded, which is ridiculous to me considering that I got the check directly from the bank. So obviously it was going to take, because I literally just went to the bank. Yeah. So be patient. I had help, thank God. But oh my gosh, it was so frustrating and nuts. And then my next recommendation is fill out all your warranty papers immediately and just put them in a binder. I'm not going to show you the front, but this is the binder that they actually gave me, and it's like the homeowner's maintenance manual. And inside of it is also where I have all my warranties for all my appliances and things like that. All of that is in here. They've already been filled out, and they're just, hopefully I won't have to use them. But if I do, at least I have them. Let me see. Did I miss anything? Oh, I'm just going to mention this in this video, but we're going to go into like way more depth in terms of like what I learned about mortgages. So I originally planned to put down 5% on my home. That's what I saved for. So I knew the top of my budget. So I took 5% of that, and I created myself a savings plan last year to where I would always be able to put aside that money for the 5% plus my regular savings. So when it came down to actually closing on the house, I wasn't completely broke because I had money already saved and set aside for this closing. So I highly recommend a savings plan. Don't just go in there and just be completely broke. You will need blinds. You will need trash can, trash bags, mops, brooms, all that stuff. You will need those things. And then you will need to go grocery shopping. So again, more videos about how stuff is coming, because as I am learning this whole homeowner thing, I figured I'll just let you guys know what I'm learning. But yeah, that was my things I've learned about buying a home. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, like, I can help you to the best of my abilities. But keep in mind, I can only help you based off of my experience. So if you guys would like to see more house videos, leave me a thumbs up, tell me below in the comments, and until the next time, guys, bye.